Li Yan and Li Feng were father and son and both military generals of the Shou kingdom, although the senior Li Yan started off his career under Liu Biao. The high points of Li Yan's career were when Liu Bei picked him to work alongside Zhuge Liang as the co-regent for Liu Shan, the next in line for the throne, and when Liu Shan was 19 years old, Li Yan was given the title General of the Vanguard, a title not held since Guan Yu did in 220. Li Feng had far less recorded about him, but he participated in Jiang Wei's northern campaigns and inherited his father's titles after his ultimate downfall. Li Dian and Li Hui also share the surname Li. Li Yan's early days were spent in Jing province, where he efficiently worked as a clerk under Liu Biao, earning a reputation for being competent among the people. When Cao Cao launched his campaign south around 202, Li Yan fled west and became a refugee when he arrived in Yi province. Liu Zhang must have seen much promise in, or had heard of Li Yan's capabilities, as he was appointed to be the prefect of Chengdu. His work record stood out from all the rest in the decade or so that he spent here, and his reputation was further built upon. When Liu Bei marched to conquer Yi province in 212, Li Yan was made an army controller by Liu Zhang, then sent to repel the enemy at the strategic location of Mianzhu. When Liu Bei's army arrived, Li Yan instead defected over to the Shu side along with his subordinates. Another account says that Li Yan defended Mianzhu forest from Liu Bei's army until Zhuge Liang instructed Zhang Fei to withdraw, luring Li Yan into an ambush party. It states here that after he was captured he joined the Shu side. He was made a major general to begin with, then after Liu Zhang surrendered, Li Yan was appointed as the administrator of Xian Wei Commandery and given the title General Who Revives Glory. This title was part of Liu Bei's program to solidify his new regime. As Li Yan, who was considered a newcomer to Liu Bei's side, was invited to constitute the Shu Kei, the new code of law for the Shu region. Zhuge Liang, Fa Zheng, Yi Ji, Liu Ba, and himself all worked together to write the most important legislative document for the later Shu Han state. In the coming years, Li Yan continued to prove himself as a capable administrator, but began to show signs of not being able to compromise well with his colleagues. Areas within his jurisdiction were repaired and decorated nicely, which pleased the people under him. He paid attention to the riverside roads, which were also repaired to help travellers and traders. He also commissioned for a tunnel path to be dug through a mountain, which served to help the logistics of the area. Li Yan had earlier recommended Yang Hong to be an officer of merit, but the latter later objected to Li Yan's relocating of the administrator's residency. Li Yan repeatedly ignored Yang Hong's persuasions, which caused them to part ways after Yang Hong resigned. This didn't stop Li Yan from later recommending Yang Hong again though. On another occasion, Li Yan had a major falling out with one of his generals of the standard, Wang Chong. Their bad relationship led to Wang Chong defecting over to the Wei side. When Liu Bei and Cao Cao clashed at Hanzhong, two bandit leaders took the chance to rebel. 10,000 people had gathered in a nearby county, and with the Shu armies away in the north, Li Yan could only muster 5,000 troops. He managed to drive the rebels back, but soon received word that Gao Ding had also led his Sioux tribe to raid another county. Li Yan dexterously maneuvered his army to defeat this new threat as well, where he was promoted for his efforts afterwards to the general who assists Han. In the year 222, after the Battle of Yiling, Li Yan received a letter from Liu Bei, who wanted him to come and see him at Baidi Cheng, as he didn't have long left to live. Li Yan was promoted to the prefect of the Masters of Writing, and specifically asked to be a co-regent alongside Zhuge Liang. Liu Bei even told Zhuge Liang to take the throne if Liu Shan proved to be incapable, but Zhuge Liang never felt the need to do this, and later described Liu Shan as highly intelligent. Liu Shan reigned for 40 years, which was the longest of any in this period, but because none of it was written down, it feels a lot less. I personally feel that Liu Shan gets a bad rap, being named Adu, a word to describe incapable people who achieve nothing even with great assistance. I think it's far more likely that he was a capable ruler, but I digress. Li Yan was appointed as Central Protector General and was to handle all military matters, and imperial guards and armies were to be under his command. He was sent to Yong'an County to watch the border of their ally Wu. In accordance with Liu Bei's policy of solidification, the dual regency was to be held by an original officer of Yi from before the takeover, and a follower more associated with Liu Bei's clan. Some think that it's likely that this title was only given to Li Yan because the other more capable officers from Yi, such as Fa Zheng and Dong He, had already passed away, with others, such as Huang Chuan, having surrendered to Wei, and Wu Yi not being regarded as talented as Li Yan. During his time as co-regent, he had to deal with Yongkai's uprising, which was fueled by Meng Huo and Gao Ding. 6 letters were written by Li Yan to try and dissuade Yongkai, but this had no effect. This forced Zhuge Liang to resort to using military force, where he launched his successful southern campaign. Zhuge Liang proceeded to use his power and influence after quelling the Nanman Rebellion and repairing the Shu-Wu alliance. He rearranged officials within Shu on a massive scale, specifically the palace attendants for the Yushan, an easily corruptible position. Chen was picked to be an ambassador to Wu to maintain relations, with his first task to congratulate Sun Quan on taking the throne. Before Chen departed, he said to Zhuge Liang, "Li Yan has scales in his stomach." This was interpreted to mean Li Yan is easily agitated, to which Zhuge Liang said that he would rather praise Li Yan rather than attack him, as the situation had not been settled. It's recorded that the pair had a competitive yet cooperative relationship. In 226, Li Yan was promoted to be the Minister of Household and became a Marquis of a chief district. In the same year, he was bestowed with Guan Yu's old title of General of the Vanguard. As part of Zhuge Liang's reassignment of officials, he looked to replace Wei Yan at Hanzhong with Li Yan, effectively moving Li Yan from the eastern front to the north, without having to change his title. Li Yan, however, did not see this as a lateral move, and expected Zhuge Liang to create a new province at Ba with himself as its inspector. Zhuge Liang did not allow for this, so the discussion ended there, with Li Yan reassigning himself to Jiangzhou. Around this time, Meng Dai, who had previously defected to Wei, received letters from both Li Yan and Zhuge Liang, where they both praised one another's abilities. Li Yan explained their duties to Meng Dai and expressed how lucky he was to have such a great partner. Zhuge Liang sought to bring Meng Dai back to the Shu side in conjunction with his first northern campaign. The letters helped further isolate Meng Dai, whilst at the same time making him feel welcome back at Shu. It was Li Feng who brought the good news to Zhuge Liang that Meng Dai agreed to rebel. Li Feng suggested to attack Chang'an, whilst Meng Dai attacks Xincheng and Luoyang. Within the letters, Li Yan recommended that Zhuge Liang receive the 9 bestowments and becomes a vassal king of Shu. The 9 bestowments are awards given by the emperors to officials to reward them for their achievements. The nature of this ceremony was usually a sign of an official's complete control over the emperor, and would almost always lead to the usurpation of the throne. One rare instance where it didn't lead to an emperor abdicating is when Tao Pi granted them onto Sun Quan, who briefly became Wei's vassal. Zhuge Liang wrote a letter which explains how he would only accept the 9 bestowments once Shu had vanquished its rival state Wei. "You and I have known each other since a long time, yet we no longer reciprocally understand each other. Your mission should be to support the restoration of the state and be worried of improper ways, hence I cannot be silent. At first, I was of humble rank from the eastern region, yet my talent was exaggerated by the former emperor, and now my rank is the highest among the officials. My salary and bestowment are too many. At this moment, the suppression of the rebels hasn't been accomplished. You who understand that our task is still going would encourage us to receive undeserved favour and wait with glorious titles. It isn't the path of the virtuous. Now, if we vanquish the rebels and slay Tao Rui with the emperor recovering his imperial seat, then both you and I would rise. In that case, I would accept the 10 bestowments, all the more for 9. In the year 230, Zhuge Liang was at the capital receiving an imperial decree to congratulate him for his service in his northern campaigns. Tao Zhen retaliated to Zhuge Liang and launched a counter-offensive into Hanzhong while Zhuge was away. Chen opposed this attack, citing Tao Tao's difficulty in setting up supply routes to Hanzhong. Tao Rui was wary, but after discussing it with Tao Zhen and seeing how determined he was in his plan, he allowed it to go ahead. Zhuge Liang called on Li Yan's assistance and asked him to lead 20,000 men to reinforce Hanzhong. Li Yan didn't want to leave his home to become Zhuge Liang's subordinate, so instead he proposed that he sets up his own office just like Zhuge Liang has when he gets there. Zhuge Liang rejected this proposal, but allowed Li Yan's son, Li Feng, to take over his father's duties whilst he was away at Hanzhong. Feeling pressured, Li Yan made his way to help defend against Wei's Ziwu expedition. Tao Zhen led an army from Chang'an through Ziwu Valley. while Sima Yi sailed another army along the Han River from Jing province. Other Wei armies were also preparing to attack from Wu Wei Commandery. Zhuge Liang led the Wei vanguard and started to make his way through the 330-kilometer long Ziwu Trail, until he came across a camp in a crooked gorge that had been previously used by Wei Yan. Locals of the area recognized him and reported his presence to Li Yan, who launched an attack against him. Zhuge Liang was caught in a tight spot and personally helped defend the barricades until reinforcements arrived, which allowed Wei forces to safely retreat. Wei Yan was sent to Liang province to incite the Xiang tribes to the Shou cause, but Wei countered and sent Guo Huai and Fei Yao to deal with the uprisings. Both armies met on the battlefield, and Wei Yan was able to deal massive damage to the Wei forces, which had a knock-on effect preventing Zhang Hei's army from joining the expedition. The Ziwu campaign resorted to smaller skirmishes and a stalemate. Resources were drained rapidly on both sides due to the heavy rainfall that lasted a month. Tao Rui aborted the campaign after many Wei officials wrote memorials to him urging him to end it. Once the fighting had settled down, Li Yan was not permitted to go back east and was instead granted a seat on Zhuge Liang's cabinet. This granted Li Yan complete permission to use the Chancellor's office to plan future northern campaigns. He changed his name to Li Ping, became Zhuge Liang's subordinate, and helped plan the fourth northern campaign, which would become the Battle of Mount Qi. Li Yan was assigned as the logistics officer with the responsibility of transporting supplies to the front line. As Zhuge Liang and Sima Yi clashed around Mount Qi, both armies required backup supplies. The heavy rainfall persisted, which prevented the supply lines from moving, which is when Li Yan should have reported this situation to Liu Shan. Instead, he tried to cover up his failure in the hopes nobody would notice. He sent the advisor and commander of his army to take a letter to Zhuge Liang, falsely claiming that Liu Shan had ordered a retreat. The commander was made aware of the truth of the logistical problem and asked to return once the letter was delivered. Zhuge Liang got back to Hanzhong, where Li Yan acted surprised and said, "The provisions are abundant, why have the troops withdrawn?" Whilst this was happening, Li Yan had wrote another letter to Liu Shan, claiming that Zhuge Liang was feigning a retreat to lure the enemy into a good position to attack. Li Yan had hoped that Zhuge Liang would resume the war with fresh supplies, and Liu Shan would not become suspicious of the frontline army's movements. Unfortunately for Li Yan, he could see straight through it. Zhuge Liang had secretly concealed the letter from Li Yan with the intention of dealing with him. Zhuge then informed him that they are to be relieved from the campaign to return to Chengdu. On their way back, Zhuge Liang did not lecture or scold Li Yan, but presented his handwritten letter to Liu Shan as hard proof of Li Yan's cover-up. It's recorded that Li Yan's letters were contradictory from beginning to end, and so he could not explain himself and confessed. Under Zhuge Liang's suggestion, Li Yan was stripped of all titles and ranks, then exiled to Zitong Commandery. Li Yan lived the rest of his life as a civilian, where life became much harder and ever stressful. He always hoped to be forgiven by Zhuge Liang one day and reinstated to his old positions, but this never happened. Li Yan didn't think younger generations would ever reinstate him, and when Zhuge Liang passed away, he himself fell ill as well and shortly followed. After Li Yan was exiled, Feng was made High Counselor and Commander of Supplies. Zhuge Liang would repeatedly employ Feng for tasks, whilst encouraging him to regain his father's honour by serving under Jiang Wan to the best of his ability. Feng became the governor of Shu and High Controller of Jianzhou, before going on to serve as a minor military commander in Jiang Wei's northern campaigns. He met his downfall some point during the conquest of Shou. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.